What is going on, First Descendants, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the 5 best Descendants you need to get right now to make sure you're ready for Season 1. As you guys know, we are so close to Season 1, and I'm pretty sure some of you guys already have some of these Descendants, but the main thing we want to make sure we're ready for are for the dungeons. This is a brand new content that is coming to Season 1, and the dungeons not only promise better loot, better rewards, but we are also going to be getting a lot of stuff to be done there where we're going to constantly need to be doing them. So what are the best character for these type of dungeons? Coming from a pro Destiny player and pretty much a loot and shooter pro, I can literally tell you guys exactly what we could sort of expect for when these dungeons come out and give you guys the overall consensus of who I think are going to be the best characters. So let's start off with the first one, and one that I personally recommend, and I'm going to mention all these are going to be ultimate characters. The reason being is because ultimate is the way to go, especially for these type of characters. So we're going to start off with the first one, which is Bunny. So if you're looking for someone that is not only good at clearing bosses, clearing mini bosses, and most importantly, getting rid of a bunch of ads when you are getting pushed, when you're getting swarmed, and overall in general, Bunny is going to be your number one when it comes to mob clearing. I mean, there are other good valuable options, but currently right now, in my personal point of view, if you're mobbing and you want to get rid of stuff as quickly as you possibly can, Bunny is going to be the way to go. Of course, getting the ultimate Bunny is going to be very beneficial because not only will you get access to one of her unique mods, but you will have more survivability and a little bit more damage. Now, with that being said, we have videos on the build for Bunny, and we also have videos on how to get her. So if you're trying to get her, make sure you guys check the link down below. So when it comes to dungeons, one thing I can tell you, we are going to get swarmed by a lot of ads, and we are going to need someone to clear these ads. And what better than to have a Bunny character already leveled up, already level to go, so you guys can be ready for Season 1. So Bunny's going to be my number one when it comes to mob clearing. Now let's talk about bosses, because one of the most important things that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to kill bosses. And usually in dungeons, the way it works is you have a mini boss. Depending on how big the dungeon is, you'll have actually 2 mini bosses. And then after those 2 mini bosses, then you are able to fight the final boss. Now, I do recall prior games in Destiny, one of the most important things that was part of the main thing when you actually did these dungeons is doing this in a timely manner where you were doing them quick enough to not only get the rewards but play multiple times. And I believe this is going to be the same thing when it comes to the new dungeons that we're getting. I think time is going to be a big factor, and being able to get rid of these bosses as quickly as you possibly can is going to be super important. Yes, Bunny will help you clear all these ads. Yes, Bunny will do a lot of damage when it comes to clearing these ads, but you're going to want to make sure that you actually have the maximum potential when it comes to boss clearing. Now, I was kind of debating, I was like, Ultimate Lepic, I mean, he's a boss, killer, but I actually said, you know what, we got to go with someone that's not only good at killing bosses, but also killing ads, and on top of that, is really, really solid when it comes to staying alive and surviving, and that is going to be Glay. Glay, in my personal opinion right now, she is the number one boss killer, not only because she's able to do a lot of damage with her boss killing skills, but in addition to that, she has 2 ways of actually playing. You can either play the whole frenzy mode where you want to make sure you use a Python, or you could go Rocket Glay, which is pretty much obliterates as the highest amount of DPS. And when you pair a bunch of Glays together, they just do a ton of damage. So Glay would be my number 2 option, especially for boss clearing. So if you don't have a Glay, now's the time to start investing in an ultimate Glay. I think it's going to be super, super beneficial when it comes to that particular component. Now, with that being said, let's talk about what else is up in the air and who to decide who to pick for your next ability. Okay, so what we're going to need, guys, is you're going to need to have someone that will be able to do a good amount of AoE effect and also be able to boost every other player that's around. So, we have players like Luna, we have Enzo, we have these type of players that are going to be able to boost your damage exponentially to do a ton of damage. And yes, some of these are really good for when it comes to doing stuff like the Devastators, because it's just one boss and that's all you're doing. When it comes to dungeons, we can expect multiple bats, we can expect puzzles, we can expect holding a point, we can expect all these types of scenarios. So not only are you going to need a character that's going to buff you, but you're going to need a character that's going to be able to help the team to maximize their damage. And this one, we're going to go with Ultimate Valby. Now, the great thing about Valby is that you're able to play her two ways. Number one, you're able to play her offensively, defensively, but overall in general, not only is she good at playing these both types of scenarios, but she's also great on buffing crits. And one of the great things about being able to buff crits is that that's going to help you kill ads, kill bosses more faster, quicker, and in this good fashion. And the great thing about her is that she's able to hold zones. Now, what I mean with holding zones is usually when you get into these dungeons, there'll be this kind of like loot caves, right? Where you get a bunch of ads coming in from like one particular area. She's actually able to hold down that zone, and being able to hold that zone is super, super key. Now, there are really good other characters that I could probably add to this list. For example, Ultimate Viesa. We could add Freyna. We're crossing our fingers that Freyna gets an ultimate, or we get another character that has a really good amount of AoE that gets an ultimate here, so we could throw it in here. And it's kind of up in the air where theoretically we should put her, but the great thing about Valby is that not only she's able to hold that zone, but she's able to buff you at the same time. So that's here where we're going to be slotting at number 3. All right, fellas, so moving along the list, now let's talk about pretty much support characters. These are going to be characters that are going to help you exponentially when it comes to being able to not only boost your damage, but help you stay alive. And this is kind of one of those things that I also had to decide to figure out exactly what route to go, because there are a couple really good characters that will allow you to do that. But we are going to be going with the Ultimate Ajax. I know what you guys are saying right now when we're doing, when we're doing these type of fights, like for example, interceptor battles, or when we're doing any sort of other fights, we don't really see a lot of Ajax, because unfortunately, Ajax doesn't really have kind of a play area in the sense that he's not able to pull aggro. There are other characters that do more DPS, and you're kind of like are more inclined to getting the DPS character than a more tanky character. But when it comes to dungeons and when it comes to playing these dungeons, there's usually a point where you're going to need to hold a zone, and you're all going to need to gather like on some sort of platform or some sort of area where everybody's going to gather and do a bunch of DPS. So, I mean, I played a lot of Destiny, I played a lot of these games, and usually when you get to the boss, there's this area where, everything else gets kind of blown up in the map, and you got to go to this area and start doing the DPS from that map. The great thing about Ajax is that not only is he able to support that zone, but the great thing about Ajax is that he will be able to boost the damage of the people who are inside his bubble. So if you haven't had a chance to get an Ultimate Ajax, now's the time to do this, because you never know. You could, run these dungeons and there's going to be like 2 bunnies and there's not going to be a support character. You could always swap to that. And I think Ajax currently right now is not like a top tier where everybody's like, oh, we need an Ajax in the team. But I believe when these dungeons come out, I think he's going to be one of the characters that a lot of people are going to be kind of gravitating towards, because you are going to need some sort of character that's only going to be able to boost your damage, but it's also going to be able to hold your zone. Now we're left with a couple other characters. We're left with Ultimate Viesa. We are left with Lepek, and to be honest, I played with both of them, and it's kind of like a really bit of a toss-up to me in the current sense, because Lepek could actually hold a very nice central area, and he's able to do a lot of really good damage when it comes to bossing. But the thing with him is that the mod that allows you to do this amount of damage kind of ties you down. So I'm gonna have to go with Ultimate Viesa on this, even though I think Lepek would be great for bossing, and I could be completely wrong on this one, and Lepek might be the way to go as opposed to Viesa. But I feel like Viesa has a better ceiling when it comes to helping the team than Lepek does, unless we get to the point where the dungeon is super easy and clearing ads, and you really don't care about ads, you just got to get to the boss, and that's pretty much it, then Lepic would probably be the one that, you know, we would go here. But I want to know from you guys in the comment section down below, who do you guys think, Viessa or Lepic? Did I do a wrong pick here? Or it could be one of the brand new ultimates that come out. You know, we got the sniper chick coming out, and we have another ultimate that's going to be introduced. So, you know, we that could fit this fifth spot here. But I think Viessa would probably be the option you want to go with, due to the fact that she's able to do a lot of really cool stuff. Number one, she's able to spam her abilities, which is extremely important, especially when you're fighting these type of you know, dungeons. Number two, she's able to hold a zone, which is really good. And the great thing about Viessa is she has a very high crit chance. So her purple with Valve, it has a great synergy here. And the greatest thing is she's able to freeze people. And, you know, whenever you're getting rushed and you're trying to hold a zone, being able to stop people from approaching you and kind of freezing them in place is extremely important. And I believe she would play a very integral part when it comes to being able to support a zone. So I could be completely wrong on my fifth pick, but let me know in the comment section below, who of the ultimates you think should have been the fifth. Did I miss one? Do you guys think we should have added another one? Because it's kind of just up in the air right now with Lepic and Viessa. So let me know all in the comment section below. I hope you guys are ready for season 1. I hope you guys are enjoying the content. If you are, do me a huge favor, guys, drop a comment, drop a like, but most importantly, subscribe to the channel, turn those notifications, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.